Hello and welcome to the Mal and Johnny Show. We managed to catch Johnny before he takes Alwyn off to another production of TikTok, still going around the country this week as well. So I'm glad you've managed to fit this in. Johnny, we thought we'd talk about kids games. The games you used to play in school, because nowadays, in fact, I was talking to somebody the other day, it's a band called Kaleidoscope something or other, and they said, do you remember a kaleidoscope? And I said, yeah, I remember a kaleidoscope. And I think, what did you do with it after you'd gone like that once?
Yeah, you looked through it, didn't you?
You looked through it, and that was it, really, wasn't it? It wasn't like a computer game where you go to the next level. You just went, that's that. There we are. Yeah. You have a go now.
Wait, yeah.
Kids' games, then. Some of them were quite simple, but actually they were a lot of fun, particularly in the school playground.
The trouble is today, as you know, they're not allowed to do a lot of them because of health and safety.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
we in the winter, we used to make slides in the yard, okay? Right. So if it's a frosty morning, and by the time you get to school, the kids have been there early with the little boots on, and they're like glassy slides. And we're going like alpha leather up these slides. It wouldn't be allowed, which is a shame because we had some great fun, you know?
Yeah. Well, actually, just thinking about those, do you remember the slides, maybe a little bit after your time, where they put slides in parks? And some of them were, I mean, maybe I was a lot smaller, maybe they weren't that big, but they just seemed to be, phenomenally high, and you climbed up the ladder, and then you slid down. I mean, you probably got all protective gear on nowadays.
The one, I don't know, the one in Roath Park is got very high.
Yeah.
You've been to the park in Roath Park Lake, Roath Park Lake?
Oh, yes, yeah, that's a
They got a very high slide there, yeah. Very high slide.
Well, they should ban that. Ban it.
Conkers, we used to play conkers, didn't we?
Absolutely.
And used to put it in vinegar to make it hard. All these funny gimmicks. And this is my tour. This is a 99 I smacked. And you're doing this. And no, you can't do it. You bash your fingers. I mean,
but the horrible feeling when you know your conker is going down, because it just starts to split, doesn't it? A little bit of a split. Did you put like laces in between? You put a hole in with a dowel.
And you stick a lace through it, and you do a knot at the bottom so it doesn't come out.
Yeah,
that's it. You hold it up like this.
Yeah.
But conkers. What was the other one we used to do? I used to play a game in the schoolyard, and I don't know what it was called. But you lean over against the wall like this,
right?
And somebody would be behind you the same. So you'd make a bit of a line of people all bending over, so it's like a platform, and then you have to run and jump as far as you could. I don't know what it was called. Land on these guys. I don't know what it was called. You probably call it horses or something like that.
British Bulldog. Do you ever play British Bulldog?
No, what's that one?
That's where you line up. Let me just think now how it works. There's one person who's the British Bulldog, and then everybody lines up, like maybe up a hill or something, and they've got to get past that person. And if that person catches you, then you join that team. And in the end, all the people who have been caught, and there's just like one person who's got to try and get to the den. Mob. Do you play Mob?
Mob? Well, we used to play a thing called Kick the Tin. You ever play Kick the Tin?
No, go on.
Kick the Tin's a bit like Mob. It's you draw a circle and you put a tin in the middle, okay?
Right.
And then whoever's like the one that's got to find everybody, you kick the tin out of the circle, and by the time he's retrieved the tin and put it back in the middle, everybody's hiding.
Right.
He's got to try and find him, right?
Yeah.
But if one of you can get out before he's found, you kick the tin again. He's got to start all over again.
Well, the thing is,
there was a bloke he used to tell me up in New Tredegar when he was brought up, and he was a town crier.
Right.
And they called him Mike Nosey. I think he had a big nose. I said, "What are you doing?" "I've been playing Kick a Tin with Mike Nosey."
Jacks. Did you ever play Jacks?
Yeah, I played Jacks. It's up the valleys. I think it's Gobstones.
Right.
Down in Cardiff, it was Jackstones. No, up the valleys, it was Jackstones. Down in Cardiff, it was Gobstones. But it's the same thing. It's Jacks. So you had 5 of them.
Yeah.
And you throw them up and try and catch them on the back of your hand. Yeah. And whatever falls, you've got to go up to it and catch them. Yeah, I used to play that.
So were they? Because you could play it with stones, I suppose. We used to have these like crisscrossy type of things.
Yeah, that was the posh ones. We used to get pebbles off the road and do it with.
Marbles. Everybody had marbles.
Oh yeah, alleys. We used to. If you had a pop alley, boy, you were lucky. Remember the pop alleys?
But did they have different colours inside, or
No, a pop alley in the olden days.
Right, follow.
They always lemonade pop. They'd have the top would be like a little marble, like an alley under the stopper.
Right.
You know, it was like protected from like leaking.
Okay.
But if you got one of those, they were great to play marbles with. See, used to play them in the gutter, didn't we?
Yeah. Explain the game of marbles for these youngsters now tuning in. Who are TikTok generation.
Well, we said there was a couple of ways. One would be you'd put them in a ring, and a bit like like bowls. You'd flick your alley to knock them out of the circle, and you'd win that particular alley. Then, wouldn't you? I don't know. There's all sorts of games now.
And then if they were different sizes or had more colours inside them, they became more than just a oneer. You had to hit it like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And if you had a ball bearing, you would cheat it.
I'm trying to think what the ball bearings were called. I'm trying to think.
Ball sheets.
And then, and I remember sometimes you were allowed to do dropsies. So you could, if you had a ball bearing, you could do dropsies on people's marbles and see if you could smash them. It's mean bunch.
And the girls used to play 2 balls up against a wall.
What?
They used to have 2 balls, like 2 tennis balls, and they'd be under their legs, bouncing them against the wall, catching them, and it was quite sophisticated. Yeah, how they used to do it. And they used to do skipping, but with 2 ropes.
Oh yeah.
Did they call that French skipping or something? Yeah, and they used to have to get.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
No, that was brilliant.
The girls could do it.
Hopscotch.
Hopscotch, yeah.
In fact, it's funny in these games. Every so often they'd become. Everybody would do it, wouldn't they? So suddenly the hopscotch, you'd be chalking out hopscotch where you'd put the little numbers and you'd hop all the way through. And then I remember there was one craze for bringing in bits of marble to actually be your stones to get to, because they were nice and smooth. They used to run across.
What about the hula hoop? That was when everybody had to do the hula hoop. To keep it going.
Did you ever climb? Yeah.
Hey, what yo-yos?
Yo-yos, yeah. Clangers or clankers. Clankers they were big in the 70s. Clackers, that's right. So there were two balls in.
When I did a panto once with Stan, because he used to play this little schoolboy character scene.
Right.
So we used to have the schoolroom scene. He'd come on, he'd have these clackers, they'd be this big. Clackers! You don't catch your fingers between these or something.
And then they were banned because they made some cheap versions of them, and if you did it too much, they'd explode and take a child's head off. Well, they did.
Probably came from China.
Probably came from China. Tamagotchi. Now then, this is a little bit up to. Do you
Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchi. Do you remember Tamagotchi?
Well, I remember the name, but I don't know what it is.
So what it was, and the thing was, I was on tour, right? I was in East Germany at the time, and I get a call from home saying, "Can you get some Tamagotchis?" I said, because we sold out in Britain for Tamagotchi. I said, "What's a Tamagotchi?" She said, "Well, you feed it every day, and then you have to change its nappy, and then you have to keep it alive." I'm going,
"Oh, that's right. It was a robot kind of pet."
It took a little while for the penny to drop. I was thinking, I can't take anything like that through customs. I'll be stopped if it's alive. Yeah, so it was a little a little electronic device. And it would cry, so you'd have to feed it, and then it would need changing. So all you had to do was press the button, I think, or something. But if you didn't, and then all the mums in school, because the kids were banned from taking. I got them in Eastern Europe. Yeah. Anyway, they came back, and the kids then were banned from because they were just taking over school, so they were banned. So all the mums at coffee mornings came with their Tamagotchis to keep them alive for the kids, because otherwise they'd be in trouble.
They'd die.
Kiss Chase. Did you play Kiss Chase?
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I used to let them catch me.
Yeah. I did. You were the Welsh under-16 champion at Kiss Chase.
That brings me back to the first girl I ever kissed. I think I've told you about her. And it was Jennifer John, and she was the most pretty girl I've ever seen. And I still think of it to this day. She was only about 14. I was about 14 and a half, The things you do when you're a kid, and you get infatuated, don't you?
Yeah.
And you're waiting for him to come out of school and stuff.
On the street where you live.
That's right, yeah. And you go to the pictures with them, and then you try to get your arm around them in the pictures.
Let's leave that there. Right, different times of year, we always used to go to the park to collect frog spawn. Did you collect frog spawn?
Oh, yeah, frog spawn. Well, there was a place in my state called the Forge. Right? It was because there used to be an old iron foundry up there, but it was disused. So there were lots of pools, like stagnant pools.
Yeah.
But they had crested newts. Now, I didn't know what they were then. We used to call them Trojans for some reason. Right. But they were crested newts, which are now endangered. Wow. We try to catch these newts and frogs or all sorts of stuff up there. Yeah, and dragonflies. We used to see loads of dragonflies.
Which was it newts? Which are the ones, if you grabbed them by the tail used to drop off, and then it used to grow back? Was that a newt?
Yeah, the newts will do that. Was it? That was a bit like lizards, the same thing.
Yeah.
They regrow it. That's right.
So we used to get all the frog spawn, bring it home. Mum was always pleased about that. Put it in like a fish bowl. And then you'd wait, and they'd go from being a little dot, and then they'd have little legs, so they got the tails, and then suddenly they'd be frogs. I don't know what we did with them after that.
Chucked them away, probably.
No,
and you collect caterpillars as well. What's them changing?
Yeah. I wasn't one of these naughty boys. Used to go birds nesting, and we're not saying that's the right thing to do at all. But did you know boys used to do that, go getting eggs?
Yeah, they used to pinch the eggs and blow the eggs, didn't they?
Yeah.
They'd make they'd pinch the egg and then a little pin up pick in the front and flow it, so they blow all the interior of the egg out, so they could keep the egg as. But it's a shame really, because endangered species sometimes.
Absolutely. So football matches, everybody says about jumpers for goalposts and all that. We used to play for hours and hours. Did you play football or rugby when you used to like jumpers for goalposts?
Rugby we used to play.
We played rugby.
We were lucky at our school. We had a rugby pitch.
Oh.
Our own rugby pitch, and we had a big bath, which I can remember to this day, which is about 15 foot by 15 foot. We'd all used to get in this thing after playing. It was full of hot water, because you're full of mud.
Well, we couldn't afford the hot water now, let alone have a play. They've sold the play pitches off for houses, and you can't even afford hot water in the bath.
There's a bloke in my class called Vivian Tanner, who was 6 foot tall when he was like 14, 15, right? So I'd be on one side, he'd be on that, and I could see him thundering towards me. There's no way I'm going to stop this bloke.
help yourself.
he ended up playing for Wales schoolboys, I think.
Oh, wow.
And I think he became a policeman after that.
Yeah. And then, obviously, the 2 weeks of Wimbledon, you couldn't get on a tennis court for love nor money.
Oh, that's right. Well, we used to go up the park in my state to watch the girls playing tennis.
Oh, nice.
Because they'd be there in their short skirts. And we were naughty boys. We started looking at places.
There seems to be a theme developing this week. Games that we played, the games that we shouldn't have played. Right, what haven't we done? Cards behind the bike shed with cigarette? No, we didn't do that.
I never smoked. I was one of those. I don't know why. My old man had a pub at the time, and I never took up smoking. No. I mean, it's weird, isn't it? And it was all around me. All the boys would be smoking and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
I tried it once, I think, and I coughed my guts up.
Yeah.
And I was itched, so I'm not doing that again.
And the thing
they put it up this week. It's nearly £15 a packet.
What?
It's £15 a packet. So if you have a packet every day, you're looking at $5,500 a year you're spending on cigarettes.
Well, I must admit, every year I make it a resolution to give up smoking, because I don't do it. Because I've never smoked, and it just means at least there's one resolution I can keep.
It's a pity you haven't smoked, then you could give it up and save £5,000.
The other thing is about not being a smoker, this is as good as it gets. You can't give it up to feel better. This is it, Johnny. We don't get any better than this.
That's what Dean Martin used to say. If you don't drink, when you wake up in the morning, it's as good as you're going to feel all day. That's right there.
What about your grandchildren now? Do they play those games, or do they?
Well, they're a bit young, really. I mean, the oldest one is only 8.
Yeah.
So they go to gymnastics. They're quite athletic.
Okay.
And they like swimming and things.
Yeah.
But I don't know what kids do today. They don't do the same things as we did.
No.
I used to climb trees and fall down.
Break your arm. Everybody I must admit, I haven't yet, but I'm sure you had that before. Everybody in school used to have one boy, didn't they, who always used to break something. His leg would be... You have
to draw on his cap.
Yeah,
There'd be everybody's name on his cap.
Oh, good stuff. Well, kids don't know what they're missing, Johnny. They don't know what they're missing.
We used to go out picking wimberries. Did you ever pick wimberries?
Oh, yeah.
No, you don't live up the valleys, do you?
We used to go scrumping apples.
Oh, we used to do that.
Oh, yeah, well, you were
But
that's terrible.
Wimberley picking, I still to this day have to get my fix. And every July, I go to my stake up the mountain, which looks exactly the same as it did when I was 15, 14. And I pick my Wimberleys. Takes forever because they're so small.
Yeah.
And then
Keep an eye out for Jennifer Jones, just in case she's around. Just in case.
I don't know where she is. The only trouble is, you see, you think of these girls you knew and you had a fixation about it. You think they're grannies now. But, I mean, you know what I mean? It's a hell of a shame, isn't it? Not preserved in aspect like us.
I'm always surprised. Everybody I meet from school, how old they look, Johnny. They all look so old, you know.
But a lot of them, not so much they look old, their attitude is old.
They should have stayed tap dancing and entertaining.
You've got to keep going. You've got to think up there. You're 32. Well, I don't think of anything. I'm just me. I say.
Just Johnny Tudor.
I don't care how old I am. Johnny Tudor. Tap dancing extraordinaire.
Fantastic.
The tap dancing granddad.
All right. Well, look, if we've mentioned if we've omitted to mention actually any games that you used to play when you were a kid in school, give us a shout.
Whip and top.
What?
Whip and top.
Rip and top.
You'd have a whip and a top, a spinning top.
Yeah.
And you whip it like that and make it spin, and then you keep whipping it and keep it going.
Wow.
And then we had another thing when I was a kid called a hook and wheel.
Hook and wheel, right? Okay.
They'd have a steel wheel or an iron wheel and a hook, and you just knock it along the road like a wheel, you know.
Oh my gosh.
And a gambo, did you have a gambo?
No.
Well, a gambo is a soapbox cart.
Oh, right. Yeah. Go-kart, we used to call them, I think.
We used to call them at the valley gambos.
Gambos.
And I didn't know for years later, but gambo comes from a Welsh. That is a truck on a train. Oh. You know, like a coal, whatever.
Yeah.
And in Cardiff, they used to call them a bogey.
A bogey.
But up in valleys, it was a gambo.
All right. Look, well, yeah. If we've omitted any, I think we've probably covered all of them. But if we omitted any, give us a little mention in the various different things, like on Facebook or on YouTube and all those different channels. We'll
enjoy our inane patter.
We'll continue more next week.
We'll do some more next week.
All right. Look, I've got to go because Boris Johnson's in front of the.
Well, I got my popcorn ready for the event.
Yeah. Okay, we'll probably talk politics next week. But for the moment,
it'll be 4 hours of it.
I know.
I'm just interested in what his attack's going to be that he didn't know, or he did know, but he didn't think there was anything wrong. I mean, I can't even see how he's going to wriggle out of it. But I wouldn't be surprised he does.
He was called a grease piglet by his former friend David Cameron. So let's see if they finally managed to get a hold on the grease piglet. Anyway, we digress. Right. From him and from me, it's cheerio.
The cheerio, and keep playing your marbles. Don't lose them.
Lost them years ago. Ta-da, bye-bye. Bye-bye.